Hi, everyone. Welcome to this episode of our Tech Talk. Today, we're going to talk about something really interesting. I'm actually very passionate about it, and it is Internet of Things. Um, Internet of Things has been, recently becoming more and more popular, but it's been around for near about 20 years. So, and this is one of the, as the technology progressed over and over again, the computing power has left the desktop, not didn't leave the desktop, but expanded from desktop to various other things. And the Internet of Things has become this topic where all the different devices that now has computer in it, and how they connect, how they build a network. So it is a very powerful topic with Internet of Things and with all the technological advancement within it. Our lives could change dramatically, and this is the main thing that could take us from our real life, present life, to a science fiction movie very quickly. So all the cool things we see when someone forecasts, like, what will be the life 20 years from now or 100 years from now, or all the things that we see in science fiction movies or novels, etc. Those are the things that can become a reality by having more and more advancement in Internet of Things. So yeah, it's a topic that I'm very interested in, and Amit, I'm sure you are too. So yeah, I think it's a really good topic to talk about.
Definitely, Rinat. I think Internet of Things has picked up in a quite a big way, and most of us now have devices in our homes that are connected to the internet, and that are collecting data regularly. So, Internet of Things is, I mean, it has still not reached its true potential because bear in mind, this is larger than the population of human beings. So, you can have more devices than the human population. So, imagine we have about 7 to 8 billion people living on the planet, and at least every one of us owns one or two devices. So we're talking about in the order of at least 16 billion plus devices.
Yes.
And they are, imagine if they are all connected, how that would transform. So yes, it's a very interesting topic, and I'm excited to talk about it today.
Exactly, absolutely. I mean, this is actually a really good way to think about it. Now, the number of devices there are in the world is amazing, and if everything is connected, you can very quickly realize the potential of how powerful it can be. So yeah, I mean, is absolutely a very fascinating topic to talk about. What I wanted to start with, sorry, before you ask me what Internet of Things is, I thought I'll just start with it. I mean,
Please go ahead. Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, the way I think about things is how to break down the term. So it's Internet of Things. And what is internet? I mean, obviously, when we talk about internet, we immediately think about a browser, a Chrome, or whichever browser, and then being able to connect to the rest of the world through it. Through this connection from my computer to a network of computers. So yeah, that's the key thing. Network, internet is, in a sense, a network of computers. Now, when we talk about computers, again, we also think about our laptops or desktop. But no, computers is not just a laptop computer or a desktop computer. Anything that can compute, in a way, which can do binary computation, and process data, is a computer. And a computer can live not just in a laptop with a processor, but a lot of devices can compute, essentially. So anything that can compute is a computer, and a network of all of these things, all of the a network of computers is internet. And when we expand from desktop computer or from laptop into devices that are around us everywhere, Those are the things. So when we talk about Internet of Things, we are basically talking about a network of things, which are not necessarily the traditional computer that we think about. So that's how I, sort of define Internet of Things.
It's a good explanation and a very simple explanation, Renat. I think yeah, that you have actually summarized it effectively. But I think we have to bear in mind that not all devices might have a processor. They might be just collecting information through a sensor and sending it to someone else to do the
Yes.
processing. So another explanation on top of what you have said is, of course, Internet of Things is a network of things connected together. But what things are we talking
Yes.
about? So those things are anything which can be switched on and off.
Hmm.
Simple as that, because they use electricity. And most of the devices that we now use consume electricity through either battery or through AC power. So anything that can be switched on and off, we can connect to the internet. So it could be your dishwasher, your washing machine, your toaster, your kettle, your refrigerator, your watch, um, your temperature sensor, anything, a pressure monitor, anything that can be switched on and off. You can now try to connect it to the internet. But here there are two main aspects. One is you collect information and you process it within the device or close to the device, say in the Wi-Fi network or in your phone. And the other is you send the you send the data to somewhere in the cloud, and you process the data, and then you send it back to the device. So
Right.
that is one way to look at it. And yeah, I mean that is basically essentially Internet of Things. So connecting every device that you have in the house to the internet. And
Yes.
then basically what it does is it helps you connect and control them even outside your house.
Yes, and obviously one of the newer term is smart devices nowadays is
Yes,
becoming a massive. The industry is becoming bigger and bigger. It's a big industry, and the projection is that this disruption will continue, and even the devices that are not smart devices at the moment, there are research going on and innovation going on to make those smart devices. The smarter these devices get, the more automated we can the more we can automate our lives.
absolutely, absolutely. And there are so many possibilities. I mean, when we talk about smart devices, we normally think only as consumers and devices that are in our house. But bear in mind, industry also has been using smart devices for quite a long time. The retail sector using RFID tags, they have been using smart devices. They are using cameras, they are using different types of sensors. Now, today, we actually go to a shopping mall, and we put our device we put whatever we shop, all the products, in a particular basket, and the basket automatically scans it and
Yes.
records the amount, and we just tap our phone and we pay. So things are getting smarter and smarter, where you have less and less human interaction.
Yes, absolutely. And one of the things also fascinates me is, as we can kind of see the smartest device, what it can be. But also there are a lot of devices around us which, can just be turned on and off. For example, there is a smart TV which can connect to my phone
Yes.
with Bluetooth and everything. But there are also, TVs or other display devices which are not smart at all, and there are some devices which are helping us transition into smart devices, and that's what really intrigues me. That there are actual robots which are like a tiny robots which you can actually attach next to a physical switch, and that robot can be connected via Bluetooth or Wi-Fi with your phone, and that will press the switch, the physical switch,
Yes.
which will turn on and off. So, in a sense, that unsmart device can become smart by
Yes.
connecting a physical transition robot. So these transition technologies are also something I find really fascinating. That what after the discovery of or the um, initiation of these smart devices, we kind of end up with half of the devices in my life are smart and half of them are not smart. So I can't have like a sequence of things that are happening because half of them are not connected to Wi-Fi or internet. But now there are ways that you could even connect them in maybe in a limited way, but you can still connect them to the internet and create a series or create like a sort of a um, like a activity, like a series of activities which will create an ambience around you. So yeah, that's
Agreed.
another interesting aspect of Internet of Things.
Yes. So devices that can switch on and off, robots, sorry, robots
Yeah.
that can switch on and off, that is quite interesting. There is another concept that is very popular now is a smart plug. So
Yeah.
almost any device, say like a dishwasher or a refrigerator, has a plug, but that plug connects to a socket. So suppose instead of that plug, you use another plug, which is smart. So you
Yes.
plug the refrigerator's plug into that smart plug, and then you can turn it on and off. So that is another way to look at it. And it's actually quite a very cheap way to make your devices very smart, as you mentioned, because at the end of the day, if you're able to turn on and off a device from
Hmm.
anywhere in the world, that gives us a lot of power and control over the devices.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it's funny you say that. I have four smart plugs in my room, which are controlling, four different things. And yeah, I mean, this is another example. Like, for example, I have a fan heater in my room. Just if it gets a little bit chilly, I don't want to turn on central heating, just for 5 minutes, I could just turn on the fan heater. And that fan heater is not a smart device. It's just, but if on a cold morning, I before even getting out of duvet, I can tell Alexa to basically turn on the smart plug, which is connected to the fan heater, and the room is warmed up before I get out of the duvet. So yeah, smart plugs are one of those transitional devices that helps us make unsmart devices smart.
Yes, indeed, indeed.
Yeah.
And I think this is a very good way of, I mean, showing the applications of or the uses of why it is so important to connect a thing to the internet. Because a simple example that you gave, you have Alexa at home, and through your voice, you can control now devices. You don't even need your smartphone.
Yes.
So through your voice, you can actually connect and talk to other devices and say, okay, turn off my toaster or turn on my coffee machine. So by the time you get ready, your coffee machine is on, your coffee is warm, and you can immediately drink it and then leave the house.
Exactly. Yeah. As you mentioned, this expands to not just from Internet of Things with Bluetooth or Wi-Fi connection, but it also sort of expands into the UI. And UI, we talk about as soon as we think of UI, think about user interface, which is on a screen. But no, UI is not just limited to that. UI is all the way user can interact with devices. And nowadays, obviously, with there are different accessibility options. And yeah, these kind of smart speaker, Google Home or Alexa, or even Microsoft Cortana can also do a lot of things, which automates our regular life.
Exactly, and yeah, and they are getting better and better with AI, machine learning, etc. Because these devices, bear in mind, they collect a lot of information, the data, how we use them, what are they measuring, etc., etc. So, and that data gets fed into maybe a software or some algorithm, and they enhance our user experience and they help companies make better devices. So let's talk a bit more about Internet of Things, and let's get into the concepts behind why is it so important.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
So I mean, from my perspective, when we talk about Internet of Things, we're talking about a couple of things. One is we are talking about a network. So internet is nothing but a network of computers or devices that are
Hmm.
connected to each other through Wi-Fi, through internet, whatever means. Then you have physical devices. So devices could be anything from a refrigerator to washing machine to a machinery in a factory to a sensor inserted in the soil of a farmland. So it could be
Hmm.
any device. And then these devices are collecting data, and that data could be a temperature data, a pressure data, humidity data, data about say a heart rate monitor,
Yes.
a blood pressure, temperature inside your fridge, the temperature of water in your kettle, etc. So it's
Mhm.
collecting different types of data. And then the last aspect is, what do we do with the data? And
Oh yeah.
what interpretations we can make from that data. So let's talk a bit about these aspects. So when I say network, you explained that these are um, devices connected to each other, but is there anything else when we think of network?
Um, well, network initially just brings to mind the connection, to be honest. What else could there be?
So this network itself could be a private network or a public
Ah,
network.
yes, of course.
So the network could be sitting in your home,
Hmm.
which is not connected to the internet. So bear in mind, we are talking about devices that are connected in a network. That network may not be connected to the internet, but they may be just connected in your house.
Yes,
So
yes, absolutely.
like a local area network. So you can have a local area network. So you can have maybe a Raspberry Pi. You can put a sensor in it, and you can
Yes.
put that sensor outside your house, and you can sense the temperature. And that Raspberry Pi talks to a thermostat. Now that
Uh-huh.
thermostat is connected to your Wi-Fi in the house through your smartphone, and through
Hmm.
that you can actually connect so many devices, even though they are not connected to the internet. So it's a very good use case of a private network, whereby you can use a local area network to connect devices and control them.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, there are so many. I mean, as soon as you give me one example, I can, my mind just goes on to thinking, oh, all these other cool things that we can do. I mean,
Exactly.
I have a Raspberry Pi
Oh my God.
at home, which is interestingly enough, which is currently actually mining cryptocurrency. So
Okay.
yeah, I mean, there is so many things you can do. Like for your example, instead of going onto the internet, as you said, like local area network, if the Raspberry Pi is used to sort of get the temperature from outside the house, and when I was studying mechanical engineering, I know that there are formulas to calculate if it's if the temperature outside of a system and inside of a system, what is the heat diffusion rate, depending on the
Okay.
insulation of that box or system. And then based on that, you could kind of calculate how much heat is dissipating from your home and what's the temperature outside. And then you can calculate what should be the exact ideal temperature in your central heating from the Raspberry from getting the outside temperature and inside temperature. All of these cool things. It just comes to mind, and yeah, I just get carried away thinking all the things that we can do with it. Yeah.
No, I think that's great because that's a very good example, right? I mean, when
Mhm.
we think about Internet of Things, we only think about consumer products, but then there is Raspberry Pi, and you are doing mining for cryptocurrency. But there are so many hobbyists who have a Raspberry Pi, and they are doing so many cool things with it. And you don't have to be plugged to the internet. I mean, you're just doing things in your garden.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And yeah, sorry, I kind of got carried away. Yeah, I was talking about local area networks. So yeah, I mean, right, usually you would think that, oh, you want to be smart in a way that you connect to the internet and find out what the temperature is right now. But with that, you're only getting the temperature of the whole area or the city that you're living in. But you can be so much more accurate if it is, if there is a system which is local area network, which is measuring the temperature in your outside your home, and then adjusting the temperature inside. So that's in a local area network, but it's so much more tailored to your situation, to your home. So
Absolutely.
yeah, there are power in local area network as well. People might immediately think, oh, LAN networks are going to be a limitation because you're not connected to the rest of the world. But for bespoke needs, you might actually be better off and more accurate by being in a LAN connection, LAN network.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even in my home, we have two systems, and I connect to one system using remote desktop.
Hmm.
So I don't need internet for that. If I'm connected on the same network through a LAN cable or through a local area network, I can still talk to the other device. And while we were just talking about temperature, I also read another example which farmers use, and that is to put a soil temperature sensor in the soil, and it measures the temperature of the soil, and based on the temperature it will trigger on and off a device that will water the soil
Ah,
automatically.
right, of
So,
course.
this is a very good way to automate things that a farmer would normally come and do himself. So this way, what you do is you save time and energy. So you're saving time measuring the soil temperature, and you're saving time switching on and off the water supply. So based on the soil temperature, you can actually turn on and off the water supply to keep it always at the uh, 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 optimum temperature, and make sure that the soil is well hydrated. So I mean, there are so many cool things that you can think about, and so many other applications that it's incredible.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. I just, yeah, keep thinking of all the cool things you can do. Yeah, yeah. No, absolutely. So, yeah, these are some local area network situation. What are other networks, and how can we have Internet of Things in
So
that?
I think one of the other cool things that is happening now is hacking.
Hmm.
So when you have networks, and especially when you have a device connected to the internet, it
Mhm.
means if it is not secure, anyone can access it.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
that has a security implication. And I was just reading a news today that the water that is I think in Florida or some US state. So you have these water pumping stations that pump water, drinking water to all the households in the area. And the s- uh, the whole station or the sensors itself is connected to the internet. So someone actually hacked it, and they actually released a chemical that could poison the drinking water.
Oh my God. Okay.
So normally what happens is you add some chemicals to decontaminate the water, but you add it at a very trace level, which is not harmful to the human beings. But if you increase that amount, then it can become harmful,
Yes.
and you can play with those measurements. And
Wow.
this is just one example of like poisoning the water that's supplied to your household. But there is another application where you can control the traffic lights, you can control the thermostat of any individual living. I mean, we have seen this in movies. So you can control
Yeah.
thermostats. You can hack into web cameras. So we know that the baby monitors. So a lot of parents, they buy baby monitors, which is nothing but an Internet of Thing,
Hmm.
a device, IoT device. And these baby monitors are kept in rooms that are connected to the internet, so parents can monitor their babies. And if these devices are not secure, then what happens is anyone outside your house can connect to that device and actually see your baby. So
Yeah.
so
Wow.
there are applications that can be exploited by people over the internet. So this is the reason why you have to talk about network from a private perspective and a public perspective.
Yes, absolutely. No, you're so right, because as soon as anything is connected to the internet, there is a chance of security vulnerability, and is the more powerful it is, like IoT is a very powerful thing to even talk about, and the more dangerous that it could be. with security vulnerabilities, and especially because these are devices which are embedded within our lives. You don't directly think about it, but these devices actually have access to the most private situation in your life as well. So it is actually very important to think about security from the get-go whenever you're thinking about IoT and embedded computing infrastructure. Yeah, it's so important. And one of the other things as well, I was thinking is that with with these devices, as you mentioned, webcam. A lot of the times, not just webcams, but a lot of the times, most of these devices come with an admin username and admin password, like default
Yes,
username and password.
default.
And while setting up, a lot of the times it's just being set up by the customer rather than a professional setup. I'm not suggesting that you should get professional setup installation for every small things, but I'm just saying that all of the users should be aware of this situation that I'm just about to explain. So yeah, I mean, whenever the average customer has bought a smart device and setting it up, they might not bother to change the default password, and that is the case in all around the world. Many people have set up webcams, not just in your computer, but CCTV cameras, and even in professional installation there are CCTV cameras in shops and big shopping malls, etc., and they just left it in default username and password, which makes it so easy for a malicious person to have access to it. And these kind of access to like private situations, sort of privileged locations, I don't know, a secured area or whatever, is very dangerous and can give the hacker what they need in terms of to make even a bigger attack with the information gathered this way. So yeah, absolutely very important to know about security, and at the very least, what our listeners and viewers can do, and I would always advise, is definitely change the default username and password whenever you're installing any smart device.
That's a very good suggestion, Renat, and I think yes, a lot of people, including myself, we normally don't change the default username. I think I'll take a note from you that yes, it's important to change the username and password default, and it's not just the devices that you own, but also the router, the internet router to
Oh
which all the devices are connected. So
yeah,
anyone can buy the router or the device that you're talking about, and they know the default username and password, and they can then try to connect to different devices over the internet using that default username and password. So yes, you're absolutely right. It is very
yes. I
important to
mean,
change.
I think there is even a website where you could go and find out the default username and password for different manufacturer of routers, like a TP-Link,
Oh, okay.
TP-Link router. What's the default username and password, and then
Yes, yes. I think for routers, yes, there is.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, to be honest, yeah, another hack for an average user is that if you really need internet for in a place where you don't have access to internet, but there are like public internets like McDonald's or Starbucks, you get Wi-Fi. You might want to try the try the default username and password, and who knows what where you can go.
Absolutely. I think and the more and more people are aware about security, the more better they can secure themselves. Because
Mhm.
if you're aware that okay, something can be hacked, you can take precautions. I mean, I'm not whatever we are talking about is not a way to scare people or not to buy these devices. We actually, I have a lot of IoT devices, and you yourself have a lot of IoT devices, so they are quite useful and practical. But
Yeah,
what we are urging our viewers and listeners is to make sure that you are aware of it and you know how to secure them. And a lot
yeah,
of companies are talking about enhancing the security of these devices, because more and more devices are getting connected now, and a lot of people, a lot of devices are getting hacked. So companies are getting better. So just be aware of it, and we would highly encourage people to use these devices because they make your life so much easier.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, yeah, again, yeah, to reiterate what you just said, absolutely, yeah, highly encourage, the listeners and viewers to adopt to these smart devices. It will, the change in your lifestyle will become day and night. It's just so amazing and satisfying as well. Um, but yeah, just obviously, be aware of the security vulnerabilities, and it's not too difficult. You don't have to be a technical expert to make your devices secure. Just put a password, and that is all. I mean, and all of these providers of smart devices, like for example, Amazon Alexa or Google Home, they already have put in the technical bit already is installed there. You just have to set it up so it's secured. That is all, and it's really easy and simple to do, but it will just give you that peace of mind.
Next thing I want to talk about are devices. I mean, we talk about we've talked about the network, private and public network, but then what about the devices that are connected to these networks, and what kind of devices can be connected? So, I mean, I already mentioned about a couple of sensors, Raspberry Pi. We have our home appliances that can be connected. But what are the other possible devices that you can think of that can be connected to the internet? So let's see who can guess more devices. So Rinat, we'll start with you.
Sure. So I mean, just I'm just looking around the room. I mean, to be honest, yeah. Before we even start with that, this is actually a very lucrative industry as well. So if someone is looking for a good business idea to start up something, hopefully, there are someone in within our listeners and viewers community who are like some sort of like a product designer or some sort of innovator like that. I have this idea actually, which I wrote down, but I was just too lazy to do anything about it. Or also lack of funding is probably another reason. But yeah, your table, the desktop table that is usually just wooden table can become a smart table. And the many ways you could make it smart, it could provide a lot of functions. For example, if it was connected to electricity, um, nowadays there are contactless charging for your phone, and it could very soon come into tablet. I think there probably already contactless charging in tablets as well. But it could also become available on laptops. And if a table could provide, so one of the limitation of contactless charging is with an Android contactless charger, you can only charge an Android phone. With an iPhone contact, it's not compatible for all range of devices. But if you have a massive, well, it doesn't even have to be a massive table. If you have a table, you already have a quite a large workspace which could have different spots for to charge different types of devices, and that's just charging. I mean, like it could be a heated table surface, it could have a mouse pad, it could have a small screen which will give you like essential information like weather data or the breaking news, etc. So you don't even have to turn on your monitor or anything. You can just with a smart table you could do many things. Many things can be integrated. You could have USB, power plugs coming out of it, so you can and also so you can connect your USB devices, or you can connect many other things with it. The table is if you think about in a workstation, you have everything around you is kind of smart. Like you have the laptop, you have webcam, you have but the only thing that is not smart, which is holding everything else, is the table. Why not make the table a smart device? It could have like integrated lighting as well, so it could give some sort of ambience lighting. So yeah, I mean
I'm
that's what.
excited about this idea, Rinat. I mean, this is a pretty cool idea. I can think of getting rid of all the cables itself, because if you have a table that's charging your device wirelessly, then it means I can charge my smartphone. I can
Mhm.
maybe get rid of the battery in my laptop, and maybe there might be a day where we can actually use wireless charging for laptops. Then
Yes.
you have a webcam that can operate. Then I have a Bluetooth mouse, so I can get rid of the battery and that can get wireless charged.
Oh yes.
I have a keyboard, so that can get wireless charged. I have a headphone that can get wireless charged.
Yeah. Everything you
And then I have
just
a
throw
tape
onto the table just gets charged.
and it gets charged. Oh my God. I mean, this is a pretty good
We should
idea.
Yeah, we should stop the podcast and start this as a business.
No, but this is actually quite cool, and you are right. This is one of the things that we use on a day-to-day basis, especially during COVID. We are working from home constantly, and we are using all these devices to connect to people, to talk to them,
Mhm.
and we
Yeah.
use it on a daily basis. And you have so many cables lying around, so this actually makes it much neater. So I
Yes,
like
yes.
that idea. Plus one vote from me.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know. I mean, yeah, I mean, even though I haven't done anything about it, hopefully one of the listeners or viewers would like this idea and bring it into a reality. Definitely, I would be the first one to buy the product.
I mean, while we are talking about it, wireless charging, there is I think a new phone that can charge devices from a distance. So you actually don't even have to connect to the particular object to start charging your device. You
Oh,
can charge
wow.
it from a distance. And if that happens, then there is a talk where you can get rid of batteries in essence.
Wow, distant. If power supply can be done from distance, that would revolutionize everything that we have. I mean, in one of our previous talks, we were talking about having a VR contact lens, and one of the challenge was that how would you power it? But
Power it.
if you can distance power, things that would make a lot of things change overnight, and we could just literally leap into the future straight away. That is one of the biggest challenges.
Absolutely. So I'll share a YouTube video for all our listeners and viewers, and this is from Mr. Who's the Boss. He's a UK tech expert, and he reviews a lot of products. And he recently reviewed one of these technology, and he basically mentioned about this concept. And I was actually quite blown away by the whole idea that actually, yes, you're right. We are all thinking about innovating battery technology, but what if we don't need batteries?
Yes,
Because there is electricity all around the house. What if we just use that electricity to charge our devices through some other way rather than actually using batteries all the time and charging them? So you never
absolutely. I
actually have
mean,
to plug in a device to charge.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think a few years ago, plug and play devices were the most advanced technology. Now we can just say play. There is no plug and play. We can just play straight away. I mean, yeah, that would be awesome. I mean, if power was like Wi-Fi, if you you had one router or one system installed in your whole house, which everything inside the house can be just powered wirelessly. That would be that would be awesome.
I think we will get to that point, and a lot of companies are innovating in that area. So wireless charging is now becoming very common. Reverse wireless charging is getting common. So yes, but again, coming back to what we can connect to the internet, the devices. So what devices can you think of?
So yeah, table is one.
Okay,
I mean, to be honest, what I would start with is I'll start with all the furnitures, because the furnitures are the ones which are not digital. They're made with non-digital products like a sofa or a bed. There are things that you do in bed. You charge your phone next to the bed. There are heated blankets that you can buy for winter. All of these things that are done electronically, if they were all embedded within a system, which is, a smart bed, that would, I think that would have a lot of appeal. I mean, and then there is sofa. I mean, a sofa could have integrated speaker, which is going to be connected to the TV, or a sort of a audio jack output where you can connect to your headphone and then connect to your TV. So you can have full surround sound, rich sound experience without having to bother your neighbors, and stuff like that. And sofa could also be have an ergonomic design, so it will take in your height and weight and that kind of thing, and it will reshape itself. So that would be the best, most comfortable position for you to sit on. It could also be taking, vital, health information like your heart rate, and it could all, be constantly monitoring it. And based on that, if your body temperature rises, the sofa, or could get cooler to account for that. So yeah, there could be these are the places I would look at, because most of the things which are already electronic, which has electricity, everyone is thinking about making them smart because you kind of already have the infrastructure to bring electricity in. You just now need to put a chip in to make it smart. But the things around us that don't even have electricity, those are the ones to look at next to make them make them smart in some way. What are some of your ideas?
I'm still thinking about the ideas that you suggested. It's actually, you're right. We have so many furniture lying in the house, and if we can make them smart and interact with us, it'll make our lives so much more productive. We don't have to go to the remote. We don't have to. The moment we sit on a sofa, it knows that okay, we are looking at the TV. It'll turn on the TV for us,
Uh-huh.
etc., etc. So and it'll turn on the heating, so it knows our body temperature. So if it's high or low, then it can turn on the heating. So yeah, it's pretty fascinating. I'm also thinking about other devices like automobile. I mean,
Ah,
automobiles are smart, but they
mm,
are getting more and more smart. And there is people are not talking about cars talking to each other. And because you have worked in automobile industry, you might be
mm,
aware that cars can actually in a traffic jam or when there is an accident, cars can relay the information that they have collected to other cars around them, so that they can alert them of any accidents or any traffic information, and that can be quite useful. So that is one way to look at it, automobiles.
yes, yes, absolutely. I mean, obviously, the specific example that you just said is currently already in place, but not with cars, but with our mobile phones. There's, obviously we're all familiar with Google Maps, but then there is another one which is also popular, Waze app, and
Yes.
that obviously works by sending data, traffic data to the server from each of the mobile devices. If
Yes.
they're in highway and not moving, that means you're in traffic. There is traffic.
You're in.
And yeah, so but yeah, absolutely, cars could do that so much better and in real time, and with other cars which are in the vicinity of it. So yeah, that would make again, would be another leap in in our the in our lifestyle.
The other thing is the shopping malls. I mean, there are things where we can, we can have more smart things, and it's already happening, but it can be even better. So you have these labels, and these labels have to be changed based on the products. So suppose you have a smart label where the moment you scan the object, it'll display the amount and the weight and the details. So you get rid of the paper itself,
Ah,
and then
yeah.
based on the weight, it'll alert whether the stock is low or high.
Ah,
So that is one way to use it, because shopping malls are I'm not talking about shopping malls, but shops like Tesco or Sainsbury's, where people go to shop groceries on a
mhm.
regular basis, which have to be updated regularly. The aisles have to be filled, the aisles have to be checked, the labels have to be changed. I think you can, if you can enhance that, that actually enhances the user experience as well. And the packaging itself of objects. So a lot of times we have these objects wrapped in a sheet of paper or a sheet of plastic, and they have printed information on it. What if we have a smart cover, and
Ah,
that just displays everything inside and outside, and maybe gives us more extra information, and maybe we can even talk to the package. Can you tell us what, because sometimes we don't know what it is, and we have to go and ask a retailer, a
yeah.
shopkeeper, and we have to ask, okay, is this useful for me? I have this allergy.
Mhm.
Will it work? Can I use this, etc., etc.? But what if you can talk to the object that you're buying? I mean,
Wow, that is amazing. Yeah, embedded electronics is so powerful. I mean, to be honest, that also reminds me of shopping malls. Amazon has, started obviously piloting one of
yes.
the, where you don't have to scan and pay. You just go to the shop, pick up what you need and leave. And everything you left with are automatically scanned and connected to your Amazon account and charged through your credit card or debit card that is in their system already. So yeah, I mean, there's so many ways. things are getting more and more easier and automated in
And it's not just around this. I mean, industries. I mean, you can monitor factories, how much pollution they are creating, how much pollutants they are putting back into the atmosphere. Then you can you have I mean, what else can be there? In industries, you have a lot of manufacturing. So automobiles are being manufactured now by robots, and robots are itself monitored, and you can work 24/7. So they are also collecting a lot of information. That information can be transmitted to a central server, etc., etc. So there are so many applications in which, when a device is connected over the internet, you have so much power and control that you actually don't have to be there now. And I think one of the key takeaways from IoT is that it actually enhances productivity. Having
oh,
a
yes.
having a smart device actually enhances productivity. I now don't have to go and turn on the dishwasher or the washing machine. I can just tell Alexa or Google to just go turn on the dishwasher for me, and I'll say, okay, turn on this setting and switch it on. Run it for
Yeah,
this time, switch it off, and I
absolutely.
just go.
And the next step would be it will identify from the weight or from from an internal camera that whether the dishwasher is full, and if it is full, it will automatically turn on.
Automatic. Exactly. So,
So,
and those are the small things. I mean, the whole idea of getting a dishwasher was to reduce the time that we used to spend time washing dishes, and
mhm,
we have freed up the time so people can enjoy cooking more. People can
uh-huh,
enjoy socializing while cooking. People
yeah,
can do other things instead of worrying about washing dishes. So these smart devices are not making us lazy, as many people think. Okay, they'll make us lazy, but I think of it like they are actually making us more productive. We are not wasting our time doing things repetitively. And there are
absolutely.
so many things we do repetitively in our day that we can't even imagine.
Oh yes, very much so. I mean, to be honest, a little bit away from technical topics, but there is one thing I remember is it's to do with increasing productivity or why people are a lot of the times procrastinate. And one of the things I think I read it in an article or saw it in a YouTube video or something that basically if you keep if you sort of put yourself in a situation where there is nothing else for you to do. Say, for example, if you put your phone away, so you can't go on TikTok or Instagram or put your TV away, and if you just literally sit in a chair and nothing else for you to do, within it won't even take more than 2 or 3 minutes. Within 3 or 4 minutes, your brain will come up with productive things to do, and you will have not only will you know think of the thing that you need to do, but you'll also have a sort of an urge to do it as well. So as long as you don't, you know, engage your brain otherwise in an unproductive way, if you just leave your brain and not do anything, very soon, within minutes, you'll start being productive. And that's just happens all the time. I mean, so yeah, that just ties in with what you said that, if we, free up our brain from mundane, trivial, or repetitive tasks, then we just end up being more creative automatically. You don't have to be born with a certain knack for creativity. You just like your brain has all the power. It just needs to be freed up or enabled to do anything.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that is what it's all about. We need to get some time to just sit and do nothing and think.
Mhm.
And as you mentioned, our brain will come up with ideas and creativity. I mean, I mean, again, diverting a bit. Creativity. When people talk about creativity, people talk about people who are creative and people who are not creative. But creativity is it's not that. Creativity is correlating, finding
Mhm.
patterns,
Yes.
and all human beings are good at pattern, and that's how we learn. And while we are growing up, we look at patterns, and that's how we learn things. So we are all creative in one way or the other.
Absolutely.
It's not that artists have become artists because they are creative and we are not. We can also be artists. They have just connected two patterns together and come up with something else.
Yes.
No one comes up with a original idea, They
Uh-huh.
only come up with an idea that is already there, and they apply it on top of another idea.
Yes.
So if you have
Enhanced.
never seen, heard, or listened or done anything, you cannot come up with that idea. You can, and in science, what happens is people actually um, infer.
Uh-huh.
So with a equation, they can infer that this should happen.
Uh-huh.
We have
Yeah.
not measured it yet, so we will try to measure, do an experiment, and see if what our equation is telling is right. So that is one way of creative thinking. But the other way is finding patterns. So think of a wax melting from a
Mhm.
candle. Now put a
Yeah.
picture, and now make the picture as if it's melting like a wax, and then there's a portrait of a human melting like a wax, and we say, wow, that's creative. But it's nothing
Absolutely.
but correlation.
Yes, yes. I mean, yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And yeah, I've read some literature on it as well. And yeah, most of the things that humans do are actually, you know, combination and permutation of different ideas, which enhances, and you know, creates something that wasn't there before. But that doesn't mean that it's original in that sense. It is a combination of all the experiences they had in their lifetime. You don't even know where those inspiration comes from, but it is. And a scientific proof of that is that when you dream, you can never when humans dream, you see interacting with people, or even if you try to imagine someone's face, you cannot imagine an original face that you have never seen before. It is actually, your brain can only make up faces that you've come across in one way or another in your past life. So yeah, we can't even create an original face. So yeah, everything that we do is like a sort of culmination of all the experiences that we've gathered over the over a lifetime. Is actually a very fascinating topic to think about, even for me. Yeah, I think about that many times as well.
Indeed, indeed, and yeah, I mean, this is a topic that we can talk about quite a lot. But let's get back.
Yeah.
So we talked about devices, and let's talk about data. So these devices are collecting information. A sensor is collecting temperature information, pressure information, information of how many times we have turned it on and off, information about our heart rate. So your smartwatch is connected to our hand, and that's measuring our heart rate all the time, how many steps we have taken in a day, etc., etc. But this data is meaningless if we are not applying it. So we have to do something with the data. And who's collecting the data, and what are we doing with the data? So there are a couple of aspects around it. So what do you think is happening with all the data that the devices are collecting?
Well, to be honest, frustratingly and upsettingly so, a lot of the data that are being collected are not being properly used in our current days, as far as I know. But data is so powerful. I think we've also mentioned this in another topic when we were talking about database. I think data gives you so much power. I mean, if you if all of these data that are collected, are used in proper, you structured them, and from there you could get insights into so many things that that would help you make your decisions in your life. And it will help you make, forecast things. And yeah, I mean, we could collect these data and do many things with it. The first of it is just getting analytics and getting insights. And then obviously, as soon as there is big data, then you think about machine learning. And say for example, now we talked about a smart toaster. Now, imagine the next level smart toaster, which is an AI toaster, and it, instead of, if he has 1,000 days of toasting, and if he collected the data every day, how much did you have your breads toasted at what time, and depending on, maybe you have not thought about it, but maybe in winter you have the toaster a little bit more burnt. Maybe in summertime you have it less burnt, maybe, but you don't even know it probably. But over, after 1,000 iteration, if that data is, if the toaster collected and saved those data and then fed it through a machine learning algorithm, it will know that even on a chilly day in summer, you might actually want your bread to be a bit more toasted than a regular day in summer. Sometimes we have a bit colder day or a sunny day in winter. Maybe that correlation you didn't think about, but putting that data through an AI algorithm could bring up that extra level of satisfaction when you are having your breakfast. So yeah, data
Absolutely.
is amazing, and how you can use it is we're probably as humans, I don't think we're making the most use of all the data that we have.
This is fascinating. I mean, yes, you're right. Toaster is such a good example of getting the temperature right for the toast that you always have,
Yeah.
and also the bread. And while you were talking, I thought of another thing, which I don't know if I've read about it or seen it, but it's about a fridge, a smart fridge. So you have so many vegetables and bread, butter, jam, etc. in your fridge, and a fridge uh, now these days they have a camera so you can actually see what's inside.
Mhm.
And a fridge using say image recognition can recognize what food items you have in the fridge, and depending upon your eating patterns on a weekly basis, it can order groceries for you when it
Mhm.
detects that some items are running low in the fridge,
Yeah, yeah.
and all
You
you
could
have to do is
also
confirm.
yeah, you could also recommend that things are about to expire. So, you could
Exactly.
also, suggest you recipes that will only use the things that are
Yes.
already in the fridge. I mean,
Yes.
there's so many things you can do with it. And now think about how powerful this is where the power of IoT comes in. That, fridge is one thing, and if that was connected to another Internet of Thing, which is maybe a camera inside your cupboard, which is, or in a pantry, then you have the whole inventory of all food items you have. And then you could really do something with it. So that's how Internet of Things becomes powerful, when these two things are being connected with the internet, and then you combine the data to output something magical.
Yes, yes, and so many possibilities. I mean, just to think about it. But I mean, so yes, so there are possibilities of collecting the data and using it for so many use cases. Um, uh, but but all this processing. So how does a fridge know, okay, when it's low, what's deciding? Is it a chip inside the fridge, or is it sending data to a server, and the data gets analyzed there and then it sends back to the fridge to take that action? So I think we need to think about that as well, because there are devices that do processing in the cloud somewhere not close to you. There are devices that do the processing close to you, which is called edge computing. So it's very close to you, and all the processing happens near you. So think of a smart watch. So it collects the heart rate data, it collects the steps that you have taken, but it's just collecting it. It's not telling you, okay, because you have done these many steps that you have reduced this much weight, or you are this active, etc., etc. You have to connect it to a smart uh, an app on your smartphone, and that app talks to some server, and then they do the processing, and they draw a graph. Okay, so this is how it is. This is your weekly summary, and this is what you need to do in order to stay on track for your weight or your fitness.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. I mean, yeah, as you said, data is, how it's being used, can do a lot of things. Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, when we talk about IoT, we have talked about all these things. We've talked about network, we have talked about devices, we have talked about data. And then once we collect the data, we have to make sure that we analyze it so we can enhance productivity, but also secure it so that the data doesn't get leaked. Because as you mentioned, that this data is some of the most private data of our lives. um,
Mhm.
not even a smartphone has these data that we have: our eating habits, our sleeping habits, our I mean our dishwashing habits.
Yeah.
These are some very private information that people want to make sure that it's safe and secure. So it's important that companies understand and secure it. Of course, they are doing it, but just to reiterate. So I think we have covered quite a lot about IoT today. Do you have anything else to add, Rinath?
No, actually, yeah, no, we had a good talk. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and yeah, it was kind of like a brainstorming session for me as well. I mean, I would like to end it with something that I already have implemented in my in my
Sure.
phone. So, to give an idea of what and what can be achieved with Internet of Things. So I have curtains which are connected to a curtain robot, which is available to buy on Amazon. Then there is bedside lamp which are sort of dimmable, so you can slowly increase the brightness of it. And then there are the main lights, the room light, and then obviously the TV or the monitor. All of these things are connected with my Alexa. So when I wake up, if I say good morning, that actually triggers a series of events that my smart device carries out. It opens the curtain, turns on the yellow light, the bedside yellow light, slowly. So it actually starts turning on while I'm asleep still. And it slowly becomes brighter to give an ambience of, the sunrise or the day starting. And then, after saying good morning, it slowly also turns on the room lights, turns on my monitor, and my desktop is always running anyway, the desktop computer, but the monitor was turned off, it turns it on. And then there is a series of events that happens inside the computer, which is automated within itself, so that's not related. But so as soon as I wake up, I I do my morning exercise, and then I'm ready for the day without having to do all of these other things. And there is a series of things that happens if I say good night as well. So so it's not just making one action, it's a series of action which can create a whole activity. Then you really see the power of it. And over the days and months and years, if all of these data was collected, then you can use that data to even predict even further insights, and how you can improve your life even better. So yeah, that's just an example of what I have. And yeah, I would urge the listeners and viewers to definitely look for, you don't have to do all of these together in one go. Just maybe buy one smart plug and automate one device with your voice, or it doesn't even have to be voice controlled, it could be time controlled. So the a fan heater or a light could get turned on when at 7 p.m. or in the evening when it gets a bit cold, that kind of thing. Just start with. And I have these robots, these curtain robots, and these things are all available on Amazon. And we might actually put a link or two in our podcast as well to get to these products. But yeah, definitely, try one thing out, one device out, and then you might just become addicted to this convenience.
Absolutely. I think, Rinat, that was a good end. I mean, you summarized it really well with an example. And yeah, that shows how powerful IoT can be. And it enhances your productivity. You don't have to do these repetitive tasks every single day, and you can focus on your fitness, your health, and the task ahead. So
Yes.
that's a very good example. So thank you for sharing this with our listeners and viewers. So in the end, I would just like to say to all the viewers and listeners to please share, comment, like, subscribe to our channel, and yes, if you are interested in coming on our show, then please let us know. All our contact details are listed in every description of the video. So please get in touch with us if you want to talk to us about a topic, or if you want us to talk on a topic that you are interested but you have no clue. So maybe we'll do some research and we'll talk about it in this in our series. So thank you so much again for watching us and listening to our show. And please tune in for next week. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. See you guys next week.